Hello and welcome to another video where today I'm going to try and answer the question, how hard is AAT? Now it's worth starting off by saying that this is basically an impossible question to actually answer due to the fact that the difficulty is completely relative. And what I mean by that is what one person finds hard may not be the same for the next person. We're all different and we're all good and bad at different things. Now after that you might be thinking, Will, what is the point in this video? You've sucked us in with a tantalising title and then immediately stated that it's impossible to answer. Well, although it may be objectively impossible to answer, what I can do is provide varying angles in terms of looking at current AAT pass rates, reasons why you might be finding it or may find it difficult depending on whether you've already started or whether you're looking to start the qualification. We'll also look at how you can overcome those difficulties and what you can put in place to help you along the way. So let's start off by looking at the AAT pass rates. Remember, these are correct as of the time of this video, and they are the most up-to-date results published by AAT. The other point to note is how these are calculated. So these refer to the total number of each exams taken and the percentage of those exams taken that pass. They do not refer to first-time pass rates. Let's start off with level 2 then, and we can see that introduction to bookkeeping is leading the way here with a very high percentage of 84.6%. We've then got principles of costing sat in the middle with 75.1%, so still nice and high here, and then the lowest pass figures at level 2 being for principles of bookkeeping controls and the business environment exam, both sat in the 67% zone. So basically on level 2, at least 2/3 of exams taken are being passed. For me, that's a good place to be. It needs to be challenging but achievable for the majority of students, which we can see is the case. Moving on to level 3 then, and we can see that there is definitely a drop in averages here, with the management accounting unit coming out the highest with 64.8% and the lowest being the financial accounting unit with 53% of exams being passed. Now you can look at this in two ways, and I do believe that the majority of people will look at these and think they do seem quite low, and therefore the exams are particularly hard. However, on the flip side of that, I would point out that over half of these exams being taken are being passed, and I would actually expect these to rise ever so slightly in the next published results due to a few teething issues that have now been sorted. So as long as you're in a prepared position before going into your exam, I would say you've got a great chance of passing, because for the most part, the reason students don't pass is not being ready to take the exam and giving it a go regardless. Lastly then, let's look at level 4, and we can see that the results are actually in a fairly similar position to level 3. Credit and debt management is currently in the lowest spot with 49.8% pass rate, and drafting and interpreting financial statements actually is in a great position with 74%. I would expect these not to change dramatically. I think what AAT will want to do is start nudging the level 3 pass rates up and keeping the level 4 results fairly similar to where they are now, just to make sure there is a gap between the two average results on these levels. So that covers off the results section of this video. Do they really affect the way in which you'd prepare for an exam? Not really, but they are interesting to know regardless. Now then, let's think about the reasons you may or could find AAT challenging. Number 1 here is don't start at the wrong level. For the vast majority of people, you should be starting at level 2, unless you have a previous accounting qualification or a vast range of bookkeeping knowledge already, then start with the basics. I've said this before in a previous video, but for the Q22 qualification structure, they have removed nearly all repetition between levels, which means you are expected to know and importantly remember everything from previous levels because it is assumed that you know it. Next on the list then is stop studying to pass an exam and start actually learning the subject. And this is the point at which I hold my hands up and admit guilt, because I was absolutely one of those people when I was doing my AT studies. And I know that there'll be people watching this video right now who've read the same paragraph of text 10, 11, 12 times, closed the book with varying levels of aggression and walked away thinking, it's all right, I don't even care about it anyway. And I am here to tell you, firstly, that's absolutely fine. It's not meant to be easy, and you are certainly not on your own. What I would recommend though is a slight change in mindset, and instead of thinking about it from a I need to know this for my exam, try actually thinking more on the lines of I want to learn and understand this because it may come in useful later down the line. Remember that knowledge is power, and having a great range of knowledge is going to benefit you in the workplace. Not necessarily straight away, but you really don't know when it might come in useful in the future. Now, the next reason you again could or maybe are finding it difficult is due to not planning your time properly. There does seem to be two extremes that come up here. There's the complete winging it attitude with no revision at all, very much a we'll see what happens. And I like to refer to this as the destined to fail category. On the other end, however, we've got the ultra planners, those who spent 4 weeks developing a structured end-to-end Excel solution detailing from 4:30 a.m. to 11 p.m. with drop-downs, pivots and conditional formatting with average revision time of 12 hours a day. And I call these the New Year's resolution group. It's too far, and if you don't stick to it, it'll have the opposite effect of being demotivating. What we want is a happy medium where you have planned sessions in the week where you're going to study. Now, I do appreciate, especially for those with younger children, that it can be virtually impossible to guarantee a specific time. And I know there's people nodding their head right now. So it just means building some additional flexibility into your plans. I would also recommend having an end date in mind for each exam, which if you're studying in class may already have been determined for you, but if you're distance learning, it's good to have a deadline to work towards. Now, last on the list is not using the absolute wealth of resources that are available to you. Remember, there are 4 main publishers for AAT material. Try out the different books because you may find that one suits you more than the others. You've got a whole host of videos online that cover AAT topics. You've got the Lifelong Learning Portal, which is AAT's own resources. And although these don't cover absolutely everything, they do usually cover the key topics within a unit. You've then also got the Facebook community groups that you can use as a sounding board if you've got questions too. So plenty of information there, and that does bring us back to the original question, how hard is AAT? Well, a lot of that is going to be up to you if you stick at it without having large gaps between study, use everything that's available to you and accept that at times it won't be completely plain sailing, but stay determined and keep on pushing forward regardless. Remember to ask for help of people when you need it. There's no reason you shouldn't get that. And if you do, you'll have no issues in passing your AAT. And that wraps up this video. I hope you found it useful. And remember, if you did like it, then hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more AAT content. Thanks again for watching. I will catch you in the next one.